So what is your role in the organization?
Well, I'm actually a managing director of leading software Maniacs. I do consulting on agile leadership, write software, do Kindle to like InDesign
Oh,
conversions.
that's excellent. Can I ask what
Uh,
software you write? Just I'm curious because I started learning to write software myself.
Yeah, I use a product called Zojo. It is a cross-platform tool from Austin, Texas. That, if you remember the old days, it used to be called it used to be called Basic from Microsoft way back. And Zojo is basically a Mac software house that has built a language that works on any platform, web, iOS, Windows, Mac, and I just love it. So, anyways,
Hmm,
that's what I use. But
interesting.
there's, there's hundreds of thousands of users of it. It's reasonably priced, and even you can use it for free for a while if you want, of course.
Mhm.
And their support is amazing, and it's just very high quality. So, anyways,
That's
but
interesting.
but the big thing is, I also like to communicate complex topics and easy to understand topics. So I've been writing for years. I've written several books. And also recently I've been doing like Upwork project freelancing. I got out of the corporate world and I don't regret it at all, but I've been lucky to have gotten some really great work on the Upwork freelancer site. And that's how I found out about you all.
Interesting.
I honestly didn't know anything about Docsie until a project. We were looking for a online available documentation platform that didn't look like Wikipedia or Wikimedia or these other ugly things,
Yeah,
or
for sure.
the complexity of Git docs and GitHub and working with Markdown and
And a
fighting
bunch of
that
tools,
battle.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
it's a spaghetti mess. So
That's interesting. What did you use in the past? That actually brings me to that question.
yeah, past I
Before
didn't.
Doxy. Mhm.
Well, in general, I've been a like InDesign user for like 20 years, and I just love it. Um, all the features that it can provide, but it's not. A recent contract I had on Upwork was looking for something that could be updated instantly and was available online, since the software it was documenting was going to change a lot. And
Interesting.
we went out and evaluated about 10 products, and a cohort of mine found Docsie, among others, and we ended up evaluating it, and both of us came up to the realization within an hour or two that I don't know about these Canadian folks, but Docsie sounds great.
Hmm. Awesome. And what problems were you facing before Doxy, would you say, in terms of the documentation process?
um, well, um, the boy, that's a good question. Overall, the look of the documentation looks too, in many products, looks dry and convoluted and busy for whatever reason. And I don't know what background you all came from with good, crisp, visually like appealing layout of documentation is not easy to come by. And somehow you all at Docsie have really nailed it. And that was
Thank you.
one of the first things. Following that, using the tool, it's not difficult, and the fact that you all have a free option to try it without a trial limit, granted with limited capability, but no, actually it's all features, but a limited number of books, was a pleasant surprise. And so that made it easy to try it out and get a sense of how good support is and the quality of the documentation platform. And frankly, I just think the Adobe people ought to watch their backs with you guys, because I just can't imagine a better user documentation portal.
Interesting. Thank you. Okay, let's jump to the next question. So in terms of what problems this solved, you were looking for something that looks cleaner, sharper, not so convoluted. And
Right.
that was one of the main things that it solved for you. Okay, so that answers that
Right.
question.
Yeah, and the act of producing end user documentation is one of those almost, it's not a mainstream thing in general with regard to slideshows or videos or this and that. But for whatever reason, you all must have evaluated what good quality user documentation looks like and turned it into a online tool that mimics much of that. Some of the features are not there that you might find with page layout documentation tools, where they have their canvas is the page and they've got a lot of sophistication. You guys are doing this online, and I'm sure there are some restrictions, but overall, I've just found that I haven't been missing anything with respect to the documentation. So with regard to timing, the start to finish layout and publishing of documentation with Docsie, I mean, we had our first round of 3 documents in about 3 weeks. And I was really surprised. And that includes graphics, bullet list, links within the documents to outside web pages, and I'm sure there's ways to customize the final look. I honestly haven't had time, or haven't had a need to take advantage of that.
Okay, I see. Interesting. And how did you start when you saw that there was an issue with the current situation that you had with documentation? How did you start your search for Docsie or for a documentation platform in general? Where did you start? Like, was it a Google search, or what was the process?
I was partnering with another tech writer, and we just fanned out between us, and we each came up to about 5 or 6 different online documentation portals, platforms, and we came up with a pros and cons list, like you would expect, that was based on must-haves and nice-to-haves.
Okay.
And I came up with that, and we used that as a way to judge. Part of it was, for example, cost. Another was the ability, some of the features that were must-have features with user documentation, and those that were nice to have. And for whatever reason, our valuation, we knew of online documentation platforms from both of our past, so that's good. And we re-looked at tools that we had used or had heard of. And one of the things that was really important for us was not only the presentation style, but also the level of support. And I guess I've done a good job testing you guys on that part to the point that I feel like, boy, my welcome is that door has closed, because
For sure. And we always enjoy your emails, so always feel free to connect with us.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's not an issue at all. We enjoy them. We
Right.
enjoy them. It's not
Right.
an
Oh
issue.
crap, another one from Ken.
No, it's not even like that.
Who is this Jethro Bodine from the
We
US?
enjoy them, Ken. We enjoy
I'm
them.
sure. Well, then I'll make them funnier. But
Yeah.
anyways, the degree of support has been a big issue, because we have found between us other sites that basically the support is community support.
Oh, I see.
The
Like a
idea, oh
forum.
yeah,
Yeah, I see.
oh yeah, or we'll get back to you maybe, or it's on the list, thank you for your time. Nothing infuriates a user more to get a sense that
Bad customer
things that they
support.
need, right. That's a
Yeah,
big deal.
definitely.
Um, and the must-haves versus nice-to-have comparison list, we drew it out, checked it off, cross-checked each other to make sure that we weren't biased in any way. I also did some contacts with other software development houses that have really good quality online docs and got their perspective. One other had mentioned Docsie that they were evaluating.
Mhm.
And so that's just how it went. And it
Interesting.
took us about 2 weeks to do a full evaluation of about 10 products. So it went pretty quickly.
That is actually quite quick. Actually, that is
Yeah,
quite quick.
right.
How did you specifically find Doxy? Um, like, was it like how did you find us exactly? If you remember,
Google search.
Google search. Okay, fair enough.
Absolutely.
And let's go on to the next set of questions. What did you like about Doxy specifically, besides the layout and the way it looks clean? Was there anything else you liked about Doxy specifically?
I had done a project before for an Upwork client that was based on a combination of Markdown, um, GitHub, and there were some local website emulators, something called Hugo. I don't know if you've heard of that, but and a whole bunch of custom conversion templates. That turned out to be the documentation platform. And I tell you, to manage it, to update it, a lot of user documentation folks are using a combination of those same tools from what I found out. Markdown's pretty spectacular, I think. I didn't realize how neat it was till I actually worked it. I got extended on that project 3 times, and that was good that I didn't upset anyone along the way. So, but the process of the life cycle of preparing and documenting and publishing, I just found, if you're a programmer, you must love it because it makes sense. But in reality, you put yourself in a tech writer's mind. It's it's a lot of confusing parts and steps. And what I like about Doxy, one of the big things is it's got a basic WYSIWYG type of editor environment. It's extremely easy to publish and see your results pretty instantaneously. You all do a good job of indicating that.
Thank you.
You may have to wait 15 minutes to see it. Well, you really don't. It occurs really pretty quickly. So anyways, the whole life cycle process is like effortless. And like I said, if I was Adobe with the InDesign crew, I would think if I needed to provide similar online environments, I may want to like emulate what the Doxy folks have done or acquire you or something.
That would be awesome. For sure, for sure. Okay, let's see. Um, by using Doxy, have you discovered anything new? Anything
Hmm.
new?
Oh, I guess the concept of bookshelves and the tie-in with books, I can see even for my own products, what I plan on doing is creating groups of bookshelves um, composed of the doc set for a given product. Um, that's something I think I hadn't thought of before as a way to logically organize user documentation, and that has worked really well. In addition, the ease of like integration of movement, for example, YouTube videos or any type of videos, that you don't have to necessarily host somewhere, you can import it. Oh wait, no, I guess with videos you do have to provide a site for it and a URL, but the people people like to learn with video shorts. I mean, whether
For sure.
you like it
100%.
or not.
100%.
And so I have done recently another Upwork project that I'm currently engaged with, and they asked me what would they were using a WordPress solution, and it it needed a lot of work, not only in the presentation, but the content, which isn't a like issue with Docsie. It is with whoever wrote it. And a lot of times user documentation is written by the inventor, thinking they can write and realize that with the user feedback, it doesn't work so well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I have been contracted to rewrite all their documentation, and the concept of a bookshelf, I actually came up with a quick start and a complete user guide within this bookshelf. And that has turned out to be great because we were able to embed video links,
Amazing.
which they had a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that has
Right into
turned
the
out,
tutorial, right inside.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
right into it. And that has turned out to be a really pleasant surprise, which most other documentation, especially with the Adobe products, which is regarded, I think, as the premier documentation tools, the idea of easily figuring out how to embed videos, which is now a issue with the demise of Flash.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
Uh,
remember Flash. I
but
remember.
that's how all the videos could be integrated. Now that's been deprecated.
Yeah, that's true.
So now Adobe has their own online portal for documentation and all these different modes of presentation configuration. For the average InDesigner, it's very difficult to figure out, well, my customer wants me, or my product needs to embed these videos. I really don't know how to do it.
I see. I see.
So this has been a nice alternative that has basically changed my mind with other projects of not even using a product like InDesign, which I really love, but use Docsie instead.
Hmm.
So I recommended to this other customer the use of Docsie. He'd never heard of it. He'd used WordPress, like I mentioned, and he immediately saw the benefit of, wow, this looks dramatically better and it's easy to navigate. And so that's what we've done. And there's been no regrets. That's a good thing. Secondly, in terms of things that I find was a surprise that has really been a nice benefit is the ability to embed language versions and editions of the documentation within a given portal. And what that means is that you can have, as most software that you're documenting or products have, is different versions.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Docsie has this revision control
And it
that
doesn't affect the
is
current version. So you can have it not
right.
showing, and then you can work on it, fix it, and then you can put it online.
Make that the primary one.
Primary,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
I must say, learning how to do it is a little intimidating and a little confusing because I'm
Okay.
afraid that when doing it, that my God, I'm going to lose everything, and there's no easy way to back up everything and restore it that I'm aware of as a end user. I mean, as a tech writer. But
Mm-hmm.
I got it to work, and now with this new client, we have a existing version of the user documentation and one that we're about ready to publish now. That is the latest version because they went through and overhauled their apps, which to them was great. To me, it was a substantial amount of effort to rewrite. But with Docsie and its revision management, all of a sudden I set up new revisions called
It
the
just
beta.
duplicates it, everything.
Yeah, right. And that was really a well thought out design on your part. So that's been great.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, let's go to the last set of questions. Let's see here. So what problems are you still facing now? And what
Right.
solutions are you looking for in the near future to solve these problems?
Right. Well, I would say, uh, like I mentioned, the revisions and all that. Maybe it was just me, but and maybe other of your customers have it. They understand it implicitly. It's no big deal. But the revision management may need a little bit of documentation help or assistance in terms of,
Okay.
don't worry, this is what you do. Let's take
Okay. Like a
and walk them
guide,
through a story.
like a
Yes, walk
walkthrough
them through
guide.
a
I
story.
see.
Yes,
Got
that
it.
I think, and at least on my part, would have made that a lot easier.
Excellent.
Tables.
Tables.
The
Okay.
fact that, oh, tables was on our must-have evaluation list, which
Okay.
your competitive products don't even have them.
Yeah, I've
Your
seen that
table
too. Yeah.
management needs some work.
Okay. Okay. We've heard this too. We are
But
working on some upgrades, by the way, for the
that's
tables.
what I heard. But
Yeah.
and that's fine. Um, I usually, and you can ask Phil when I present a problem. I usually try to find workarounds, and in many times I have. But in the case of tables, if you create a 3-column table, guess
Mhm.
what? You get 4, whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
And
I've
there's no
seen
way
that too.
to
Yeah.
there's no way to nuke the 4th column. So
Mhm.
anyway, it's not a big deal. I do realize that table management is very complex in general, much more than people realize in terms of developing for it. But that tables is one thing that most of us in the doc world use a lot of, and that probably needs some work.
Mhm.
I don't think there's when you're in the platform like editor, I don't think there's a way to do searches. At least I haven't found a way.
In the
And so
editor, I'll need to
yeah,
check on that. I need to double check
it,
that. Mhm.
yeah, if you've got I just finished a 65. It's not, well, I PDF to find out. I PDF exported to find out how many pages this thing was, but it turned out to be approximately 65-page user guide, which isn't huge, but it's fairly big. And
Yep.
sometimes trying to relocate something where it was, or as many instances of a certain word that I need to change, was uh, there's at least I couldn't find a way to search. And that's probably one thing that
Hmm.
most people would probably want. And if there
Interesting.
is one, let me know how it is, how to use
Definitely.
it or how to find it, but
Definitely.
I don't know where.
Okay.
The inline like images is a new feature that has been a little problematic as it was being released, but it has been a lifesaver because
Oh, the
when
little images you
you
can put in line. Yep.
it's absolutely spectacular and it works really well. And
Yes, I
that's
also enjoy using it myself.
yeah, good. So honestly, I don't have any other feedback. I've been very impressed with it.
Okay, excellent. So these are all the questions, and we will definitely send you out that gift card. We didn't forget.
Oh, that's all right.
I
It
have a
doesn't matter.
question off topic about your book. You said that you're writing a book because I love writing. I'm also a technical writer for Docsie too. So I'm just
Oh,
curious about that. Just personally, I'm just curious about your book.
I've written several books over the years.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
One is called Managing Software Maniacs.
Oh, cool.
That was a cult book for the software nerd herd. I did that
Awesome.
several years ago.
That's awesome.
And I've written a book on like InDesign,
Hmm.
how to get InDesign books into Kindle.
Wow, awesome.
And I've written a book on it's 450 pages, and these are not necessarily self-published books. These are ones that I've been lucky enough to get published by major houses.
Hmm.
It's called Principles of Software Development Leadership. I ran software development teams for 25 years, as from startups to large companies, and so I'm just not one of those consultants that preaches the gospel and hopes that something sticks. Uh, I lived the hell
You
of
lived
work.
through it. You lived through the work.
I've lived through some
With
tough
sweat and
times.
tears, with sweat and tears, you work through all
Yeah,
those moments. Yeah, I know exactly what
yeah.
you mean by that. Yeah.
So that's kind of it. Those are the books.
Okay, awesome. It was really nice connecting with you, Ken. I really
Well,
enjoyed
thanks,
it.
Tal.
It was really a pleasure talking with you. I haven't put a face to the name yet, so I'm glad that we can finally chat.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, and continue
Okay.
sending us questions anytime. We're
Oh,
always happy to receive those
oh,
from you.
oh boy. Oh,
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Sure, whatever you say.
Yep. It's all
Okay.
good, Ken.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks so
Have a
much.
nice day, Ken. Enjoy
You too.
yourself.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you. You
Bye.
too.
Thank you.